Kudus. Every day, Kudus. Whatever, Kudus. Sasa, I've always told you guys. I mean, see, if you find your truth, water always meets its level. For me, I mean, I'm happy all the noise has subsided. Now we can come back to reality. Because Kudus every day, Kudus that. And Kudus met the real footballers. It was all over the place.
Why you think the Ghanaian players are not real footballers?
No. But if you go to battle with Kudus, obviously, you are definitely going to find a lot of trouble.
Calm down. For Christ's sake. This is the world #1 ranked team in the FIFA Coca-Cola ranking. This is Brazil, 5-time world champions. You weren't expecting anything different.
No, the way you people made me believe.
You've got to calm down. This is a team that is building. You look at whatever ensued on Friday night.
Changing the narrative?
No. I'm just trying to draw your mind to certain perspectives. This is a team that was shambolic in January. They had a lucky break in March, and the project is now in session. You've got to understand, right from the man in the dugout, that was where they had it wrong. Otuado got it wrong with the selection, and he was the first to raise his hand up and admit that, hey, I had it wrong with the selection. Clearly, we didn't have the legs in midfield. The Black Stars were utterly shambolic in the first half. When he changed the shape, when he gave the team some bit of standing to find their feet, you could clearly see Brazil could not match them in the second half.
Amazing. You see, my jaw just dropped.
It was a game of two halves.
And I think your opinion represents a lot of the opinions on the streets. Amazing. You're this hypocritic. And you see, we cannot build a strong team if we are not true to ourselves. The truth of the matter is that when you talk about all of the beautiful English you have said about the guys studied the shape and changed the formation, the truth of the matter is that in the second half, Brazil didn't want to step up. The job was done in the first half. They didn't need to waste a lot of energy in the second half. So if the second half for you is the truest barometer of what we sought to do, please, I'm sorry, but you got it wrong.
Kofi, and I perfectly agree with you. I think that I've heard a lot of people talk about Ghana's performance in the second half, and we didn't play for just 15 minutes in the second half. If you watch the game critically, we played for just 15 minutes. After the 65th, 70th minute, Brazil started playing. We were non-existent, and I'm a bit surprised that people are saying we played well in the second half. Brazil took their foot off the pedal. And I've listened to Tite in an interview where he actually spoke about the fact that he literally did certain substitutions to get the team to, in a way, tone down. And Marquinhos actually said that, in the second half, they decided to tone down a little. And that's the truth. And I'm a bit surprised about Otuado and everything that's happening with the Black Stars. Listen, Otuado is not Pep Guardiola. Otuado is not Ancelotti. We can excuse Pep if he says he didn't buy Grealish for goals and assists, but we cannot excuse Otuado for certain mistakes he keeps doing. What's his reason for consistently playing Babaraman? What's his reason for playing Jordan Ayew? What was Jordan Ayew's output in yesterday's game? Because
coach's reason for playing Babaraman.
Because listen, we've said it time and time again. We've agreed Jordan Ayew is not a striker. What is he? If he's not giving you goals, if he's not giving you assists, what is he doing? So for me, tactically, we agree that the setup was wrong. This idea of he changing into a 3-5-2 to give a lot of steel in the middle with up close to about 5 men behind the ball. When Brazil started playing I think from the 70s, they created a lot of chances. They could have hurt us. I think we didn't get your 4.5 practically because Brazil were profligate up front, especially in the first half. Ghana could have been down by 4 goals. So that excuse that Ghana played well in the second half. 15 minutes of a team deciding to, because we've seen players getting injured during this international break. I doubt if some of these Brazilian players wanted to get injured, because clearly you could see that they decided not to play. For me, I have some few questions I would love to ask the GFA. One, Chris Hughton is supposed to be the technical director of the team. Since his appointment, what has been the technical direction of this team? I don't know, Kofi, if you've seen anything like that.
Well, I think that is quite.
Are we seeing a direction technically to this team? Because we don't even have an identity.
That's where I think that Ghanaians need to get a little bit patient and realistic about the team. You see, from day one, I've always said that I have never fancied our chances going into the World Cup. And I think that I'm pretty sure that the people who run the affairs of the Black Stars at the back of their minds in their secret closet, this is the same opinion they share. We are going to the World Cup for the experience. We are going to the World Cup to build our repertoire so that going forward we should be able to build a solid team that will be able to compete for honors. We would have to start competing for honors on the African continent first. Then we try to translate our dominance sort of onto the international scene. See, there are a lot of things that are wrong with this particular Black Stars. You look at the complexion of the team, you look at the configuration, you look at player selection. I think that if you want to be realistic, if you want to get it right, these are the areas that we ought to tackle. And I am happy that you have raised this issue about the technical direction of the team. I think that is one thing that I expect this particular crop of technical handlers to be able to give us. They need to give us a certain blueprint.
And I think we ought to cut Otu some slack. He's just been at the helm of affairs for 7 games. It will be quite early to demand an identity in 7 games, given the fact that they only come for at most 5 days.
I agree.
So the bit of identity, I think, given the abundance of defenders, or because you look at this current Black Star setup, that's where we have a lot of
we used to
resources,
be blessed with midfielders. Now I think it's transitioned to defenders.
Currently, the defense is our best foot forward. Yeah. You look at the second half, you might want to say it will be overstated if we say we played well. But when Salisu came in, you could clearly see the other two found their place.
Yeah, the calmness.
There was calm at the back.
Intelligence and everything.
In Nigeria, in that second half where we switched to a back 3 or a back 5, you saw the stability. I think going forward, that's our best foot forward.
So we should be more defensive in our approach. I don't have a problem.
We can adopt a counter-attacking approach.
Well, you see, I have a problem if an entity decides to stick with one particular formation. I have a huge problem with that because I think that in the era that we find ourselves, coaches ought to be pragmatic. The era that we find ourselves, there's a reason why they have all of these video analysts. They have all of these people who study the footages of the opponent and bring in all of those scouting reports, because I think that a coach and the technical team ought to be flexible enough to look at the opponent first of all, then look at the resources that you have, and then decide based on the strength of the opponent and the resources available to you to go with a particular tactical formation that could hurt the opponent.
I think I agree.
If you say you're constantly going to switch to a 3-back, I have a huge problem with
that. I agree with you.
Speaking of assessing our next opponent, we play Nicaragua on Tuesday.
Charlie. Nicaragua.
You know they lost to Suriname last week.
Suriname, it sounds like a fishing community.
You see the names you're putting up, Nicaragua, Suriname. I have a problem with the choice of that team playing Nicaragua. Let's see, in just barely about a month, over a month, you'll be playing the World Cup, the biggest stage in terms of football. You test your mettle against the big guns. You don't go play Nicaragua. I do not know what kind of challenge Otuado wants to get from a Nicaraguan team.
Well, I think it boils down to confidence. I mean, confidence can do a lot of magic.
But if you play Nicaragua and you think that you need Nicaragua to give you the confidence, then you have a problem.
Why? Because I think that, like I said, I mean, the people who chose all of these friendlies knew that there will be a battering against Brazil.
Before we check out, Kofi, what are some of the changes that you expect to see in the game against Nicaragua on Tuesday?
Well, I expect Salisu to be a regular in the Black Stars. I don't know who he would replace, but I expect him to be a regular. I think Inaki Williams played and gave a great account of himself. There's been a lot of hue and cry about Jordan Ayew. I think that we probably need to look at the Jordan role and assign it to Inaki Williams. And this is being brutally frank. And I think that the technical handlers need to decide on which role is best suited for both Dede and Kudus.
Dave?
I couldn't agree much. You look at the two of them in that game against Brazil, they look lost. They didn't seem to understand the roles they were supposed to. That has to be sorted out. I think if we're going to play a 5, he would need to sort out his first choice fullback as soon as possible.
That's true.
Dennis, I may pardon. He was given a tough time. They call him the professor. But he was schooled by Vinicius.
You don't play against Vinicius or Neymar and expect to excel. How many players do you excel against these guys?
he was schooled last
scary,
Friday.
Man.
You know, it got to a point I was watching Dennis. I was like, oh my God, Vinicius, this is too much. This is getting embarrassing. But I think you need to work on that.
Yeah.
Then that should be fine. Then that midfield combination. Because Thomas Partey got injured in the warm-up. And clearly you could see we didn't have legs.
It could happen in the World Cup. We may not even have Partey in the World Cup.
So he needs to sort out that midfield. If he's going to go for RC Lens, Salih Samed, if he's going to find alternatives elsewhere, I think Samed is by far the closest to Partey.
You see Mubarak Wakasu going to the
There's
World
also
Cup.
Wakasu option as well. So he needs to sort out that midfield combination as soon as possible.
All right, guys. So we don't know what you think. On come Tuesday, Ghana is taking on Nicaragua. For me, I think that is it will not be a test. But how do you expect Otu Addo to approach this game? Do you think he should play the 3-back and putting a lot of bodies behind in the midfield, or he should just go for an attacking team so that we can see the best of the Black Stars? We need your comments. Just comment on the issues that we've discussed, and more importantly, if you have not subscribed to Sports 101, subscribe, like our videos, comment on all our videos, and we are shooting from
Red Mango Apartments in Takra, the western region of Ghana. Do make it your ideal vacation location, and you definitely not regret this one.